This is Gerardo Del Real with Resource Stock Digest. Joining me today is the president and CEO of Millrock Resources, Mr. Greg Beischer. Greg, how are you this morning?
Very good, Gerardo. Good morning.
Back on the saddle, you had some news this morning. Well anticipated, obviously. You reported the resumption of drilling and geophysical surveys, and I want to talk about those at the Aurora Target and West Pogo Block at the 64 North Gold Project in Alaska. I have to ask, how is the weather there right now?
Well, it's gorgeous, as a matter of fact, Gerardo. A beautiful sunny day here at my home in Anchorage, and I suspect it's pretty nice out at the drill project as well.
Well, let's talk about the resumption of drilling. When did drilling commence?
Just a few days ago, so we're well into the first hole at this point, and we'll be cranking on it right through to probably the end of July by the time the currently planned program is completed. Now, I guess it's possible that our partner will extend the program based on those first results, which I'd anticipate coming out perhaps around the end of July. There's some unknowns, of course, because we're not sure how efficient the laboratories will be, the assay laboratories. Like Millrock, they've got plans in place to manage safety and keep people safe despite the pandemic, but it might result in a slowdown. We're not sure yet.
You're targeting an initial 2,300 meters, I should say an additional to the initial hole and a half that you drilled before, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, part of the plan is to complete to 600 or 700 meters depth the second hole that we had initiated but abandoned or suspended in March. But that one is down in a bit of a lower area where it's wet, and so we're waiting for that to dry out. In the meantime, there's 3 other excellent targets that were selected, and they're underway now. And this breather gave us a bit of a time to reflect on the initial results and to adapt the program a little bit. We're more or less sticking with the original plan, but we're in the system, Gerardo. We've got all the right geological features that we want to see, but we need the gold. It was just, anomalous. And so we're thinking we need to be closer to the heat source, that magmatic source of the hydrothermal fluids that can bring the gold. So we're moving northward, first by 400 and something meters, and then by about 800 meters or 1,000 meters closer to this diorite, a magmatic intrusion that potentially could be responsible for gold mineralization. So as I mentioned the last time we spoke, we've got the system, but we need to vector within it, drill a series of holes to point us towards the deposition of gold.
I understand you're also undertaking some geophysical surveys.
Yes, 2 good things there. So you'll recall that the Goodpaster deposit of gold on our neighbor's property, Northern Star, the new deposit they've discovered just on the other side of the claim boundary really was discovered by using a geophysical method called CSAMT. And we had used the exact same method on our claims and saw very similar responses that we're drilling right now. However, that's an expensive survey, and we're looking for less expensive ways to cover more ground. And so we've attempted last year, we used in between the CSAMT lines, we used a method called ELF, very low frequency, and it worked, especially with the control of CSAMT. But now we're going to try an airborne method called ZTEM. And if it works, then we can use that method over huge swaths of the property, and that would be a real competitive advantage, a real way to help us find more gold deposits.
How accessible is the new system that you're using? Is it something that if you're able to replicate the results, obviously there's going to be efficiencies there. Can you immediately tap into that and go district wide with that?
I think we would take the time to fully assess the results once they come, Gerardo, and really make sure that's what we want to do and that further expenditures would be done wisely. Geophysical surveys can be just great tools, but they're just one tool in the explorer's toolbox. And before we would proceed, we want to compare those results with the other geophysical methods that we've applied already. And so I would look towards next year as a rollout of a wider ranging district-wide type approach.
When do you expect results from the MAG survey?
Yeah, they'll come quite quickly. In fact, we'll get a download, every day from the contractor that's executing that work. Our partner Resolution has a very qualified geophysicist on contract, and so he will evaluate those results as soon as they come from the field. But it'll take longer, some weeks, I think, to really evaluate them, compare them to other methods, and really determine in this test survey, if you will, how efficient the method is.
Excellent. I know that you have obviously a good partnership with royalty owner EMX. Have you relied on any of their technical expertise in regards to the project? I know they vetted it when they decided to come in. Have there been any synergies there? I know that's a word that often gets tossed around rather loosely, but it seems like it could apply here.
Sure. I mean, we really enjoy working with the EMX people. They're very good geologists and very good business people, and we look forward to further collaboration. And, when we first presented this idea to them, I guess it was just over a year ago, they really got on board and got just as excited as we were. And in fact, they made a big investment in Millrock so that we could execute this project. And we've keep them up to date generally, but we haven't so far brought them in, to mine their expertise geologically. But we're definitely keeping them informed. They're a big shareholder of our company, and so we want to make sure that they know what we're doing and that we're executing well.
Excellent. 64 North is the flagship, obviously, and where the focus is. It's what has shareholders excited. But can we talk about the rest of the portfolio a bit? Any activity on that front?
Sure. We've noticed a lot more incoming calls now that the junior market has picked up. It's clear that things have changed. There's genuine interest from speculators in financing junior companies. And it's interesting because we're not getting very many calls from major mining companies right now. It seems like they're still in cutback mode or suspended much of their exploration, especially the early stage greenfields, grassroots type stuff that Millrock does. But it seems like there is money available for new junior companies or reinvigorated junior companies. And so we anticipate that we'll be able to get partners on the rest of our portfolio here fairly quickly.
Fantastic. Greg, I want to thank you for the update. Anything else that you'd like to add?
No, just happy to see the price of gold moving in the right direction. I think it's going to keep going. I'm a bit surprised that it hasn't moved quicker given the situation. But that just seems to be what drives interest in our space and makes everything a lot easier with the flow of cash. So I'm happy to see it and hope it keeps on coming.
Well, I'll be happier if you're able to vector into that heat source and it results in some economic grades and widths of gold in what is a massive, massive land package, Greg. Thanks again for the update.
Yeah, I'll be very happy too, Gerardo, if we're able to make that new discovery in the prevailing market conditions for junior stocks. It appears the market really is receptive. We've seen other companies be rewarded for good drill intersections, and we're, of course, doing everything we can to make sure Millrock's the next one on the list.
All right. We'll chat soon. Appreciate it, Greg.
All the best. Bye, Gerardo.
Cheers.